new home for podcasts and original music.
The Zagnif One Radio Network.
Are taking on the number 21 Texas Longhorns. I'm still wondering when they're going to be back. Sam Ellinger said they were going to be back like 3 years ago.
Just comes to mind on that list that you're like, like this, they could shock the world.
Nathan,
you want this? Hold
Nathan,
on.
wait a minute. Stop it, Skip.
How are we looking at this? Is this a walk off or is this going to be like the Florida game?
Bama by 3 touchdowns.
Here we go. Get your popcorn ready.
What's the big thing?
Ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls, hello. Happy Monday. Welcome to November. Welcome to fall. Break out the Uggs and the Han Solo vests and the leggings and the pumpkin spice lattes. Thanksgiving is a few weeks around the corner and Christmas not far behind. Somewhere off in the distance, I hear Mariah Carey warming up those golden pipes. And nothing would make my wife happier. God knows she loves that song. The Hallmark Channel is playing Christmas movies all the time. Can't wait for the Golden Girls and Frasier to come back. And we are moving forward to Week 10 of SEC football. Welcome to this week in SEC football, the Week 10 lead-in. I am your host with the most, coming to you live from Zagnif Central. I am your boy, Mr. Fingaz. Over there to my immediate right, that handsome fella from Georgia, joining us there. His dating profile says, if you don't like Zaxby's, don't get at me, but if you do Chick-fil-A, that's okay. My man CP, Collin, and down here, the shout-out king, Mr. Smiling Points. Mr. Does That Make Me Crazy himself, Mr. Sean Spencer. How are you doing this evening, gentlemen?
doing well.
Doing great, man. Doing great. Doing awesome. We had a pretty good weekend, Fingers.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, sir.
I wouldn't know what happened this weekend.
I don't know. There was some kind of game, some kind of an important game just happened this weekend. I don't know what it was.
Oh. Absolutely. Michigan State upset Michigan. That was the game of the week. Let's go.
Right. Yeah, man, look, I know a pastor up in Muskegon, Michigan that would be very unhappy to hear you say that, sir. Pastor Chris, love you, bro. Homeboy of mine from college. We were thick as thieves, and he's a Michigan guy. He's a Michigan guy through and through, and I have not heard from him this weekend. We normally talk to each other and congratulate each other on the win. I did not get a phone call. Chris, it's okay. The race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. So we know that if we endure, that weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Come on with me, somebody. I wish I had somebody to help me. Now, we gonna get it. We gonna get into that game in just a minute, man. But wow, what a crazy week for God! What a crazy week for football, man. Just crazy all the way around. College ball, pro ball. I mean, what kind? I feel like Jack Nicholson. What kind of a world do we live in where a man who plays for the Jets beats the Bengals? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Oh, man. Oh, God. So, you know what? Actually, I said we were going to do the Week 9 rundown of the SEC. Do we really have to? We know what happened. Come on, man. Like, the first question, first thing first. What the hell happened to Ole Miss?
I don't know. I got no answer to that. That's what brings me back to. You said what happened to Ole Miss, but I mean they played an Auburn team that actually, may be Alabama's second loss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
there's a guy named Matt Mitchell who does the shorts. He's like him and the guy that does SEC shorts. They're two of the funniest people out there. You need to check them out. Shout out to SEC shorts. Shout out to Matt Mitchell. and they were doing a week 9 review, and he was like, "If you guys don't stop cutting up, I'm going to unleash the scariest thing ever." They're like, "What's that?" He's like, "An Auburn team with nothing to lose." And truth be told, that's exactly where we are right now. Auburn doesn't have anything to lose. They got everything to gain, but they got nothing to lose. I mean, they still could backdoor their way into the SEC championship game. Or well, not necessarily backdoor. They could kick the door down, especially if they beat Bama. It's a wrap. But Ole Miss, I mean, you got
they benefited. Auburn benefited from the from injured Matt Corral. I mean, we saw him go down. The ankles just haven't been the same. He came back and he tried to play valiantly, but that defense is no slouch. So,
no, absolutely not. Although, Sean, you and I were talking back and forth during the game, and I was like, "Oh snap!" Matt Corral goes down, and then like 3 plays later, he comes running back out, and what was it? What was it you said? Heisman moment with like 8 exclamation points, and it didn't turn out to be that way.
But that's the type of thing that they always talk about. You go back to we look at Desmond Howard and that kick return against Ohio State. That he does the Heisman at the end. That was a Heisman moment. The Charles Woodson kick return. So those moments are the things that are like, oh my goodness. Like we think about in Auburn when Cam Newton played. Who was it? And that wasn't Alabama. It was somebody else. And he and this guy and him were neck and neck, and he just turned on the afterburners. And that was one of the moments that people look at like, there it is. I thought Matt Corral, he's already got the Heisman hype. I thought him coming back from that injury. And like I messaged you, Anthony, you look at his face, and he just looked like, it's about to happen. Now, that didn't pan out. Auburn's defense is still a legitimate defense. But Matt Corral, man, hey, shout out to him. Hope he gets healthy because you want him to keep up his amazing play.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, the guy's got to be getting scouted left, right, and Sunday. He will definitely be picked up if he continues in the vein that he, has been playing prior to Saturday. He's got a great career in the NFL ahead of him. So, yeah, we definitely want to see, because it's been more and more as of late that you see a college guy get some sort of injury and it turns into something lingering, and they still get drafted high, but then, when they get in the league, it just doesn't pan out for them. You and I talked about this today about Todd Gurley. Yeah. Todd Gurley injured his leg when he was still in school and wound up missing some time, came back and still beasted it out. But then at that point, he's 20, 21 years old. Then he gets in the NFL and starts banging up against the heavy bruisers. And, now I don't even think is he still in the league even?
He's still in the league, but he's a free agent. A couple teams been looking at him, but nothing major. But you remember Todd Gurley, I think it was Todd Gurley, AP, Leonard Fournette, and one other guy that I think I mentioned to you were just, head and shoulders above the competition in college. Derrick Henry, head and shoulders above the competition in college. So when they came to the pros, it was actually, they're like the Campbell and from Houston way back in the day, from Texas. Earl Campbell, all those years, he's doing it in college, and then in the pros, like you said, bumping with those big bruisers, it's really starting to take effect. But that's why I think that Zamir Wright, going back to Georgia, Zamir Wright and Cook and those guys you got, I think that's the answer. That running back by committee. So by the time you get to the NFL, you look at Sony Michel. He was a running back by committee the year he was there, and then he came to the NFL and he was fresh. He was ready to go. You can't run the 400 or 500 carries for these running backs anymore.
Like you go back to, to speak talking on Todd Gurley, you had Gurley, and it was Gurley and Marshall. They used to call him Gershel, just as a tribute to Herschel Walker. Because I think Gurley was 3 and Marshall was 4, so they used to stand together with 34. So you had them, and then waiting in the wings was Chubb and Michelle, and then Chubb and Michelle stepped up. And then waiting in the wings behind them was Deontay Swift and Zeus and Holyfield. Although I don't think Holyfield's career has panned out all that great. I think he should have come back. I think he should have come back, but he decided to go ahead and make that jump. and then behind that was Zeus, and now you got Kendall Milton. We hope that he makes a full recovery. That his injury was not too egregious, that he won't be able to make a full recovery, come back and not be the same. Because that kid, that one play against Kentucky where he broke that run down the sidelines. I mean, only thing that saved the touchdown was him getting pushed out of bounds because he was gone. The DB wasn't able to catch him, so all he could do was push him out of bounds. So I'm 100% a fan of running back by committee, because it's sad to see what being a one-man wrecking crew is doing to these guys. Like in Jim Brown's day, Jim Brown was just that much physically stronger than everybody else. It beat him up, yeah, but it didn't beat him up like by the time Earl Campbell came along, everybody else had caught up. And Earl was a bruiser, but those guys, I mean, so there you have it. But yeah, so getting back to Matt Corral, definitely hope that he makes a full recovery, because I really am interested to see what that kid can do when he gets in the league. I'm kind of hoping. Is it bad now that I watch these kids play in college, and I hope that all of these studs, and I hope that they wind up going somewhere in the middle of the draft, so they go to a mid-level team instead of just getting like Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields just stuck with a Chicago or Jacksonville, where they just have to languish for 4 or 5 years, or God forbid 10 or 12, like Matt Stafford, and then go somewhere and flourish.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Mississippi State put the lumber to him, man, and God, Mississippi State acted like they won the national championship. Act like they won the national championship. God in heaven. Then you got over here. You got so now Ole Miss is they're gonna need some help. That's just what it boils down to. They were neck and neck with Bama. Now they need some help. They need some help from the people that are playing Bama, and they have to really go out and play and beat everybody with a statement win. And then has the facade fallen off the Kentucky Wildcats? That's my next question. Like, has it? I mean, coming into week 7, when Kentucky visited Sanford Stadium, they were making the comparisons. They're like, they've got a comparable running game, they got a comparable passing game. They're going to do big things this year. And yes, for Kentucky, they're doing phenomenal. Their program is phenomenal. For Kentucky, it is phenomenal. But then, they go down to I'm sorry, Ole Miss. Good Lord. Ole Miss lost to Auburn. I'm sorry. I'm all out of sorts here. I got my notes right here. Ole Miss lost to Auburn, and that goes back to what we were talking about. A team with nothing to lose. And they put the stones to them. And Bo Nix, we've said this all season, when Bo Nix is on his game, that boy is one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. But he's inconsistent. And see, that the Bo Nix that we saw on Saturday night is the Bo Nix that Coach Harsin sees, is the Bo Nix that the fans see, is the Bo Nix that the scouts saw when they were scouting him to recruit him, to bring him to Auburn. So I don't know. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think it's very probable that Auburn wins out.
I'm with you on that. Yes, I mean, just the simple fact that Auburn has nothing to lose. They're basically playing. Like I said, it's very, very plausible that they do beat Bama. I mean, like it could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, worst case scenario is they lose, they drop one here and drop one there, and they still get a bowl game because they're already bowl eligible. But best case scenario is they run the table and they go to the SEC championship game, because their schedule, they got A&M on deck. After that, they got Mississippi State and then South Carolina. And those two games right there, as long as last Saturday's Bo Nix shows up, those two games are wins. And Alabama, I don't know what it is about Alabama, the Iron Bowl. It's just like I talked about Georgia, Florida. There's something about those either those in-state rivalries or those big, huge rivalry games, and in conference games like Sean, you and I talk about. These guys seem to find an extra gear, at least for a couple of quarters. They find an extra gear.
And it's usually out the gate too. It's like the first couple of quarters is like a bloodbath. You know, the in-state stuff like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And I mean, there have been so many memorable moments from the Iron Bowl. Of course, kick six always sticks out in the forefront of my mind when you think about memorable moments in the Iron Bowl. But there's so many more that come to mind. I think that Auburn could potentially. I think Auburn will win out. Nice. I think Auburn wins out and wins the West. It shocks the world. Well, I won't say the world to be shocked, but Auburn's defense has been a little suspect this year. So the defense has been a little suspect, and Bryce is not quite there yet. If you rattle his cage, he might get a little jumpy. He can recompose himself, but if you make him jumpy long enough for him to make a couple of crucial mistakes, that might be the key to the game. I mean, again, Texas A&M. You see what they did to Alabama. So, now, Mississippi State says, I want to talk about Mississippi State so bad. Good Lord. Mississippi State was playing like they were playing for the SEC championship. Embarrassed Kentucky. Embarrassed Kentucky bad. Thank God they turned the stadium mics off because we didn't have to hear cowbells the whole telecast. Good God. I was like, okay, Kentucky going to score here. Nope. Okay, Kentucky going to get one here. Nope. Like, oh, what are they doing? And Will Rogers again. Will Rogers. That boy just 344 yards. No touchdowns, but 344 yards.
But if you recall, who called that upset though last week?
There you go.
This guy right here.
Yes, sir.
I just had a feeling. Something. I had a feeling Kentucky was going to lose that game. I don't know why.
You were right.
I mean, we would do for one. We would do for another upset, but I didn't know we were going to have two. And I was watching all these scores with the noon kicks, and I was like, oh my God, Georgia, please do not under any circumstances wind up being one of them. Okay, let's get through this game here, and then we can woosah. Because I was like, okay, let's see. Georgia's playing, the Braves are playing. I said, and the Falcons are playing Sunday. I said, okay, the Falcons are the sacrificial lamb. We good for the weekend.
Exactly.
I started looking at the scores. I was like, oh my God.
Don't get your hopes up for the
Falcons. Yeah, the Falcons are pretty much a done deal already. That's bad. I forgot who it was. Rick Snyder. It was talking. Sorry, Sean, but he was talking about your beloved Washington football team, and he said when you're at the point when you are just about all but eliminated from the playoffs by Halloween, then there's something seriously wrong with your organization. And that's where Atlanta is right now. Atlanta is all but eliminated from playoff contention already. But we didn't come to talk pro football.
On the flip side of that, to go along with that, how soon has it been since the football team? Since we've already clinched the SEC East. Kentucky lost, therefore giving us the crowd. And this is really early. We got how many games left? 4 games left?
We got 4 left.
4 games left. I mean, has that been done before? I mean, I hadn't even looked it up. I mean, I haven't heard of a team actually clinching this early.
No, I have not. I have not heard of a team.
I haven't had a chance to look it up, but I was just wondering about that. I wanted to ask you two if you haven't.
Yeah, because we've only got 2 more conference games left, and I think everybody else has 3 or 4. We went through that. I think Sean and I went through that on Friday. Thursday, we did. We went through that in a number of conference games that were left, and Georgia's only got 2 more left. Most everybody else has at least 3 or 4 in the East.
Yeah.
So there's.
I feel like Bama has done it before. I mean, I feel like
I'm sure.
But only by a game or so. Only by like a game or so before. But because what it is you guys are still undefeated, but you need more. It's the help. You need the other teams to fall quicker, so that it widens the gap. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's still very early. I mean, let's be very honest. I mean, this is, like you said, Anthony, before Halloween, where our teams in the NFL are done, and this team has already clinched the playoffs. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, Absolutely, and it's just it's man, I have a hard time. Now I said we were going to talk about Georgia, Florida after the SEC rundown, but man, I every single week there's something that just makes me go, wow, this is like every time I think they can't do anything more to impress me, they step up and do something phenomenal again the following week, and I just go, them damn dogs. That's all I can do. Go damn dogs. That's all we can say. So, now
from the outside looking in, I still got the same kind of feelings. I don't think that game was a barometer for me. And the only reason I'm saying that is because Florida was not on your level. And even still, the mailman threw 2 picks that I don't think he necessarily needed to throw with that running game. And the secondary is still kind of it's exactly what you guys said. You have not been tested. So it's kind of like we can't really gauge how the secondary is. And that front 7 is world beaters. So you got to get past them first. And that's obviously hard to do.
Yeah.
And those picks with the mailman through, I think bottom line he was trying to do too much. But you got to wonder about it. In the back of your head, though, you got to get in the back of your head saying, "Oh, JT's healthy. I got to ball out. I'll get replaced." In the back of his mind, you actually got to be. I mean, I'm thinking that's what.
And
you know what I'm saying?
It doesn't
not necessarily going to happen, but
And it doesn't matter how cool and collected you are as a player, as a person. There's something when you. I mean, he's got to be hearing the talk. I mean, he's done nothing but win every game that he started this season.
That's not good enough for fans anyway. I mean,
and all the fans. I mean, when it was announced on Friday that they were gonna split duties, and essentially, basically, what Kirby's doing is they're gonna split duties until JT's healthy. Now, I'm calling that. That's not anything I got from the inside. I got nobody on the inside. Kirby's gonna let them split duties until JT's completely healthy. Because I saw a stat line from the Vanderbilt game? The Vanderbilt game where JT only played 1 quarter and he threw for 158 yards, and then Stetson played the remainder of the game and threw for 161 yards. So
is that what you want though? Because and the only thing I'm saying in defense of that is you look at the team you just played. They have a dual-headed monster at quarterback, but it just seems like nobody really gets comfortable. I mean, against Vanderbilt, that's one thing. I mean, everybody's comfortable against Vanderbilt. But, do you want to –
No, that's not what I'm saying. My point is that JT Daniels, his skill level as a quarterback, is that he was able to amass that many yards in 1 quarter, and it took JT Daniels 3 quarters to put that much in the air. This is my point. So that and people are talking about, talent level, things like that. I know he's hearing all the talk. The fans were like, "Oh, but what the hell is Kirby doing?" He said JT was healthy. We better not lose this game. If he loses the game, all of you guys talk about trust the coach to shut up. Like, he's got to be hearing that. And it's kind of just to use as an example, another quarterback we like to talk about, Spencer Rattler. Spencer was hearing all the talk, and we want Caleb chance, and then he gets benched in the biggest game, one of the 2 biggest games of the season, and Caleb balls out, and then Caleb takes his job. Like Spencer finally got a chance to play
through a touchdown
past week, and threw a touchdown. He finally got a chance to play, but he's been benched. Is my point. So you understand what I'm saying? You gotta be hearing that.
That was kind of dirty. I'm not gonna lie. Let's not to get off subject real quick. Go ahead, Collin. That was kind of dirty. They threw a touchdown. They were up like 50, and Spencer still chucked it like 50 yards. I was like, yo, come on, Oklahoma. You guys are already up by 50. Let them go. Spencer said, "I'm gonna get my shot."
Yeah, well, he still got to do something because the scouts are still wondering like what's he got. You know what I mean? So but so the fans are really going in all. They're just going ham.
Well, at the same time, though, even though he's just gotten healthy, I mean, you don't want to rush him in there. I mean, we were, at the game, we already had the game won. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to go in there and risk him getting hurt again.
Right.
I mean, you want to hold. Of course, he probably could use the reps. I mean, a couple reps at least, but at the same point, at what cost? I mean, you're risking him getting hurt again very easily at a game that we already had in the bag already. I mean,
right.
I
and speaking of in the bag, I'm gonna say it again. The Georgia Bulldogs defense talent level this year knows no boundaries.
No.
The fact that the Dogs scored 21 points, that's 3 touchdowns. That's 3 touchdowns and 3 extra points for those of y'all that don't know how they add it all up. They scored 3 touchdowns in under 2 minutes in the second quarter. And they were all set up by defensive plays. There was a fumble. There was a strip fumble recovery, which the offense came in. Next play, Cook up the middle for a touchdown. Right. Then there was, I call it the volleyball interception because it looked like a play. It looked like a design play. You see how he kind of set up the play? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then next play from scrimmage, boop, touchdown. And then the next time that Florida gets the ball, Nakobe Dean, mechanical engineer, 3.56 GPA, scholar athlete of the week, comes out and runs and rumbles and stumbles. I thought he was faster than that. He looked like he was a little slow. I don't know. It looked like so that Berman would say stumbling, rumbling, bumbling, 50 yards down the field for a pick 6, all in the span of 2 minutes, and then just proceeded to systematically shut down Florida's offense for 2 more quarters.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was glad to see Zeus rip off a long one. I was glad to see Zeus rip off a long one.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know how, in what words I can sum up any better how important that defensive unit has been to the success of the team this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I got no other way to say it. The defense has definitely been the key cog to the success this year. That's not to say the offense hadn't put up some numbers. I was kind of disappointed that Brock didn't get him one. And what's the freshman kid, Collin, the one that caught the long pass against Kentucky?
Bauer?
No, not Bauer. The other kid. Look, y'all would tell you, Sean. Y'all would talk about a white wide receiver on Let's Talk Football. But how about we got a white tight end and a white wide receiver at Georgia?
Ooh.
Both of them boys is balling, and they both freshmen.
Yeah, who are we talking about?
See, now I'm gonna have to.
I gotta think of who we're talking about.
Oh, y'all were talking about Cooper Kupp.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was balling, man.
Yeah, and so here we go. Next week, we're up against Missouri, who really, I mean, honestly, I wasn't at the game. I didn't even watch the game. From what I can tell from the reports that I read, if there were 200, 300 people in the stands, I'd be surprised. And it was just a really. Well, you said it was an exciting game.
It was a great game. Oh, I watched it all the way through. I thought it was an absolutely great game. Look, these guys aren't going to get looked at because obviously you have the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Floridas, LSU's all overshadowing them. But you got top tier, not 5-star, but still guys that want to play. And then you got a lot of these guys that are transferring over to these teams. Missouri, look, they had a guy that last year that was a 3-year starter and Roundtree that went on, and he's in the NFL right now, and I believe he's playing for the where did I say? I think it was the Rams or somebody, but he just got picked up. They got a guy that was his backup, Tyler Beatty, who popped off 254 yards and 2 TDs in this game. But then you have the quarterback for Vanderbilt, who obviously the whole football team, the whole football program is just, what can you do? You're literally playing top tier teams every single week. So you're not going to get much shot. But these kids, hey, look, to their credit, they're not giving up. This quarterback is a dual threat quarterback. He had 2 rushing touchdowns and one passing touchdown. He obviously is that offense. But I mean, as you guys already know, that's it. There's nothing much more to see. And like I said, this game, I knew it was going to be good because the defenses weren't there. and it was a back and forth game that Missouri finally pulled away towards the end. But I mean, hey, it was entertaining. It was definitely a fun game to watch, and I think they were both dealing with offers. So Missouri was like 0-5 in their last 5 conference games or something to that effect, and then Vanderbilt's like 0-12 in their last 12 conference games. So somebody had to get the W. Missouri pulled it out, and I mean, still just makes them like 4-6 or something like that, or you know what I mean. And Vandy's still at the bottom, but hey, it was a good game to watch. It's definitely got overlooked, but definitely a back and forth affair. It was entertaining.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, I know it didn't mean anything. There was no meaning to it whatsoever. I mean, except to the kids that were playing. But I
it
like
like it was
that.
a decent score too. So I mean, a decent score. Well, I didn't watch the game, but I mean, it was 37-28. What it looks like. So I mean, a decent score. So I mean, from what it sounds like, it was a decent game.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, just I didn't have anything for that. I was too busy. I watched Georgia, Florida. I had expended all of my energy watching Georgia, Florida. The Georgia, Florida game was the entire first half was so crazy. I didn't really get a chance to flip over and check out Oklahoma versus Texas Tech. And but hey, look, Caleb did finally the one game I don't get to watch. Oklahoma finally shows the offense shows up.
Right.
Big time. I think what did he throw? 6 touchdowns. He threw 6 and he threw 6 and Kyler threw 1. And then Kennedy Brooks added 1 on top of that just for the cherry on top. This is crazy. So and then Oklahoma State dropped 1. So we don't know where they're gonna wind up. We really don't know where they're gonna wind up.
They're 1 spot out of the top 10. They're 11th right now.
Yeah, I'm just saying it just depends on how it plays out because their schedule, they got Murderers Row down the way. They got Baylor. They still got to play the Sooners. I believe they've got Texas Tech and Iowa State on the map. Yeah, Texas Tech and Iowa State. Texas Tech. Speaking of, Coach gone. Not Texas Tech. TCU.
Yeah.
TCU lets their longtime coach go. So.
But Oklahoma State, to their benefit, they have the 7th ranked total defense in the country. So in a division in the Big 12 that is not known for defense, having that I think is going to help them coming down the stretch. But when you're going to play the Oklahomas, it's going to be a shootout. So just prepare for it.
Oh, all day. The gun locked and loaded. 2 double-6 shooters on each hip with the bandolier on each shoulder. With the speed loaders, they're gonna be going. Spencer Sanders versus that would have been if Spencer Rattler were still playing, that would have been a great game to be Spencer versus Spencer, but that didn't work out that way. So such is life. Man, so where do we want to go from here? Oh, before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, want to thank you for joining us. Those of you that just joined us for this week in SEC football. We're on the week 9 rundown. We're going to take a little light look ahead to week 10. We're going to talk about a few more things here. And with my esteemed co-host, my man CP, and the man, the myth, Sean Spencer, thank you for joining us this week in SEC football, brought to you and sponsored by DJG Enterprises and www.greekgans.com. If you go to DJG Enterprises and get yourself one of these lovely custom laser engraved, I almost caught it. There we go. Laser engraved insulated tumblers. They are 20 ounces. They are very durable. They keep the hot stuff hot and the cool side cool, better than the McDLT back in the 90s. You can get them in your school colors, with your school mascot, with your school slogan, and they're just a great something to have. And if you want the Afghans, go over and visit www.greekgans.com. Thank you so much for your patronage. We appreciate you, sir. Pal. All right. Where are we going now? Let's see. Well, gentlemen, as you know, oh, wow. The rankings came out today, did they not?
Yeah.
I hadn't even looked at them yet. I got off work. I got something to eat, and now here we are. So I haven't even looked at the CFP ratings yet. So let me go ahead and pull those up so then we can so I'm going to throw the AP poll out the window. We're going to look at the CFP rankings. see what we got.
Are we still talking about trusting the top 10, or are we talking about the CFP top 10?
Well, let's start with the AP, and then we'll jump into the CFP. So with the AP, thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. With the AP, we've got Georgia on top. And to be completely honest, I got no argument there. I think that there's some things with the offense that we need to work out. Like we really need to figure out who we're going to have at quarterback. And we have to hope that after Saturday that Kirby is really in the D-backs and the D coordinator are really working with those guys, because down the road we've got you've got a Missouri team who likes to throw the ball. You got Hendon Hooker over in Tennessee who likes to chuck it around, and those are two conference games. I have no background on Charleston Southern or Georgia Tech, but but we know that
the Missouri quarterback might be out. He got hurt later in the game. Bazelak, he might be hurt, or it might be a day-to-day thing. But I'm sure if he has an opportunity, he'll try to take off this week, playing you guys. So,
man, now, Coach, my turf toe don't feel so good. I'm gonna sit this one out.
He said this paper cut. It's too much, Coach.
So 1 through 3: Georgia, Cincinnati, Alabama. No disrespect to Alabama, Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide have built a phenomenal dynasty of a program in Tuscaloosa. Not because I don't think they can make it happen, but strictly because of, if it were anyone else, they wouldn't be in the top 5. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say this.
No.
The fact that they did not play, we go back 4 years, the fact that they were eliminated from playing in the conference championship game, still got into the CFP or the championship of the playoffs, and won the championship. Now, granted, I know this is a what have you done for me lately type thing, but just the kind of that just speaks to the kind of program that Nick Saban has built at Alabama. So I could see how they could say, well, yeah, they could still lose 2 games and come back and win the championship. But again, anybody else, see you later. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. But real quick, even with one loss, even with this one loss, Alabama, I guess we'll talk about this later. I mean, I don't know if I see anybody. I mean, I can even argue they'd be above Cincinnati. I mean, I know the one loss to an unranked team, but their players are still head and shoulders above most teams.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying, are we? Here's my thing. Either, especially where this is concerned, do for all or do for none. And yeah, you might put a dud in the top 4, and they might go to the playoffs, and they might lay a big fat goose egg. But at least it's done for everybody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because it's hard to not appear as though there is a bias when things like this happen. Now, yes, Alabama can definitely, Bama fans, if you're watching, Bama can talk the talk and walk the walk.
Mm-hmm.
Like the same team that beat Bama on week 2, if Bama goes back to the playoffs and faces that team, they're going to be like, hey, remember me? I'm Benny Blanco from the Bronx. I got something for you. And maybe that's a quality that Cincinnati doesn't have, especially given the fact that it took them a little bit of time to get past Tulane. Took them. I know they both start with a T. Leave me alone.
Same with Oklahoma.
Right.
Oklahoma. I was going to mention Oklahoma.
Hey, look.
And Oklahoma's number 4. So
yeah,
right. And Tulane gonna catch somebody.
Right.
Keep on playing. There's 4 weeks left. Who Tulane got left on their schedule? Let me see.
Look, I don't know, but they 1-6.
And look, it wouldn't do for Tulane to be on Michigan's schedule like the week before they play. The week to be on Michigan's schedule the week before they play Ohio State. And then Michigan losing Tulane.
That would be hilarious. But hey, it's believable.
Harbaugh would be run out of town on a rail, and they already salty with him because they lost to Michigan State.
I'm trying to figure out why he's still there. To be honest,
because he's a Harbaugh.
Well, that's what. Yeah, I was trying to stop short of saying that. I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't understand why. In my mind, like, why is he still there? Because they haven't done anything in quite a while, have they?
But that's that's their dream. That's his dream job. I mean, he was their son, their favorite son for playing, under Bo Schembechler and everything like that. But to your point, they haven't beat Ohio. They haven't beat Ohio State. They've lost to Michigan several times, including these last 2 years. But it doesn't diminish their talent. They still always finish top 2 or 3 in that conference. And I know Ohio State has their number. But yeah, I agree with you, Collin. I don't know why he's still there, other than the fact that Michigan just loves him. Yeah, he did. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So they believe in him, but
yeah, I mean he got a heck of a lot more than Rich Rodriguez did, and Rodriguez wasn't bad. He wasn't great, but he wasn't bad either. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm like, I had to look and see. I had to look. I was like, Dad, he's still there? Okay,
yeah.
Look, they have a solid D. They got the 15th ranked total defense in the country, and playing in a solid Big Ten. But at the same time, the same issues that I have kind of with your guys is the same thing I have with them. Their defense is overwhelmingly good, but their offense is very suspect. They got a two-headed monster kind of. They actually, oddly enough, are kind of similar to you guys, where they have a two-headed monster at running back. They have a stout defense that doesn't get as much attention because the whole attention is Harbaugh. What's Harbaugh going to do? How's he going to mess up this year? So everybody was definitely shocked that they were undefeated, but they have that quality of team and players. And they've lost several key players for the season. Their starting wide receiver was a number 1 guy. They lost him for the year. So while I know they lost this game, I mean, they took them all the way to the wire. And, Michigan State as Kenneth Walker, who is, in my opinion,
just getting ready to go
top tier. Yeah, he's top tier Heisman. So
that boy, we've been spending so much time talking SEC. That's where my eyeballs have been. I was like, who the hell? Who is this kid? Oh my
5
God,
TDs, baby.
Dude, that boy is that's another full-grown man. All this running back. Listen, I'm almost scared to see what's gonna happen when all these running backs start getting in the league, because it's some beasts in the league. You got Bijan Robinson, you got Bijan Robinson at Texas, you got Brian Robinson over at Alabama, you got Chris Rodriguez at Kentucky, you got Kenneth Walker at Michigan State, and those are just the ones I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, these dudes are doing it up this year. Yeah, so
it's true. You're absolutely right. And look, there's so many guys that you don't even think about. You got Sean Tucker from Syracuse, Tyler Algier from BYU. Like I told you, Tyler Beatty from Missouri, and Breece Hall from Iowa State. That's the top 5 running backs in the country as far as yards. And with the exception of Kenneth Walker recently, the other 4, unless I had watched some of their games like I've done, I mean, maybe Breece Hall because of Iowa State, but a lot of those guys I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's not to mention right here in my backyard, Kennedy Brooks, who's become even more of an absolute stud because now he's got a running quarterback.
Right.
Now he's got a quarterback with an arm and with a cannon and a set of legs.
Exactly.
So yeah. Man, God. Speaking of Oklahoma ranked at number 4, Michigan State at 5, Ohio State at 6. Who's your most suspect? CP, we'll go to you first.
Oh, what's the question? I'm sorry, I had you on mute there.
We doing the show, man. You can't be muting me. We on a show.
I didn't mean to. I was trying to make the screen bigger and I hit the roll button.
So we got Oklahoma at 4, Michigan State at 5, and Ohio State at 6. So who do you think out of that pack there? Who do you think most sus that we don't trust?
Most sus.
As the young people say, because we all of a certain age where we're not supposed to be using the modern day lingo no more.
I'll say most sus, and I really don't. It's another thing when I have one of those feelings. I don't even think to have anything to base it on, but I'd say Ohio State, for I mean, like I said, I really don't have anything to base it on too much. I'm just saying, I just have a kind of a feeling that that they're the most sus out of 3.
You got no other reason other than just cause.
Well, I mean, Ohio State is Ohio State. So I mean that they could. I'm just saying. Does that make sense?
No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
See, I know what I'm talking about. I mean, like really, that's kind of what. I mean, they're another. Let's put it this way. They're another darling child football team. You know, they're Bama and Ohio State. Everybody talks about Bama. Everybody talks about Ohio State, no matter how good, bad, or otherwise they are. And so that's where I was going. I was kind of getting the hype up for my answer. But
I got you.
I'm saying that.
I got you.
It's kind of like Bama do Bama. What Bama does, what Bama do. There you go. But no, that's kind of where I was going with it. It's like no matter how good or bad they are, they always get that media coverage. They always get the TV time, and same with Bama. But I like I said, they're most sus to me. I mean, I don't really know what they're gonna do. So
that was a perfect fit, Collin. That was a perfect analogy. But it's the truth. It's the truth. Yeah. Alabama and Ohio State are both teams that get a lot of love each year from past years, regardless of how good or bad they are in this current year. Look, Ohio State lost. We all saw they lost Justin Fields. McLaurin, they lost a couple years back. They lost Chase Young a couple years ago. This is not the same Ohio State team, but seeing as they can still beat most teams in the Big Ten, people are still giving them that love and Ohio State's this and that. I don't think with their loss to Oregon that they should be 6, and it's funny that Oregon's actually number 7. But Ohio State, don't get me wrong, that backfield, they're still a solid team. They're still Ohio State, the Ohio State. But out of these 3 teams, Oklahoma's offense is through the roof. MSU's running game is solid with the good defense. But the Ohio State, I think this is the year that they catch some L's later coming to these couple weeks. They barely got past Penn State. I think they might catch some L's in this coming next couple weeks. You
think it's a possibility that this might be the year Harbaugh makes it happen? Well, let me ask you this. Let me take that even further. Let me take it even further.
I'm not betting on it.
Let me take it even further, especially not if our man I want to smoke gives you the fix for it.
right.
Shout out to our boy Nick Rosario, Mr. I want to smoke with Nick's picks. I'll take it even further. If this is the year, if this turns out to be the year that Harbaugh gets by Ohio State, do you think he is forgiven for the loss to Michigan State?
Yep. If he gets to buy Ohio State, it doesn't matter if he loses the next game and loses the rest of the games that year. It is. You guys understand this. You guys, Georgia guys, you guys know that kind of hatred between the Floridas, that South Carolinas, those places around you.
We could go 1-11 as long as that one is Florida.
Right.
Not that we want to go 1-11, but still.
Right. Yeah, but it's very much the same in Michigan. And it's funny because Michigan and Michigan State, I mean, they go hard. They're like siblings. They're just fighting. But it's like the one thing the two of those guys come together on is Ohio State. They do not like Ohio State. Ohio State does not like Michigan. I don't understand it. I'm from the East Coast. So
I mean, why it is, because they're in the same conference, and they both have similar records when it comes to accolades and accomplishments and things like that. It goes
farther than that. It goes far. This is state. This is no football. This is Michigan people hate Ohio people. Like literally.
Wow. It's
weird. Yeah, it's like Hatfield McCoys. They hate each other. Like
Florida and Georgia the same way. Florida and Georgia hate each other. Seriously.
No, I don't hate Florida like that because
No, I'm not saying me and you, but the hatred is there. Like what he's talking about.
Right.
Okay. I'm just saying.
We don't take it that seriously, but they take it like this is it. This is like you saw. I interviewed. Shout out to Katie Alverson, diehard Tom Brady fan. I interviewed her. She's a Michigan fan. she was telling me, like, she works in Ann Arbor where Michigan is, and she was like, you know, it was cool. Everybody had their maize and blue, but she said she had to take her daughter to something in Lansing, which is less than an hour away. And she said, I mean, the looks that she got, you would have thought like she was an alien or something. I mean, she had her stuff decked out in Michigan, but that was rivalry week. And I mean, people are like, turn up their nose, step off the sidewalk, like, don't come around me type of mean. It's ugly.
Hey, there's not even any rivalry like that here in Oklahoma. But when I first moved here, and you know, I stayed decked out. I had a couple people like, yo, you're gonna have to get on up out of here wearing that. Cause like what? Oh, man, what, for real? It's like that here? Like, yeah, a few people still salty. I'm like, all right, yeah. It was almost like, yo, cuz, you can't even come run out in here wearing a color like that, cuz.
Yeah, right. Just start throwing up them sides.
Just to waving at my fingers, just to twisting my hair. Anyway, I don't know. I can't really explain that. Honestly, to all of my friends, co-workers, and acquaintances that I have met in the 3 years that we have lived here, I am grateful for the hospitality and love that you have shown me. Please do not take this personal, but this I'm going to have to go ahead and get up. Like Steve Harvey said, I'm about to get up in you. I got to go with Oklahoma because I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Wow. Okay.
I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop. Not that they have not figured out a way to make it happen every week, but you can't keep expecting the 11th hour miracle every game. Now, this game last week was the first game since they played East Carolina where they led the game from start to finish. They came out, they punched them in the mouth, and they just kept punching them in the mouth. They never let up off of them. I mean, even when they were still down and Duke was in the corner, like, throw the damn towel, man, throw the damn towel. They were still punching them in the mouth. And that's the most complete game they played since week 2. Mind you, we getting ready to go into week 10, so that was week 9 last week. They have played 2 complete games in 7 weeks, and now they're getting ready to run the gauntlet. And they have to be on point for the next 5 weeks, because once the season is over, if they win out, they're going into the conference championship. So they got to be on point for the next 5 weeks because somebody's going to jump up and slap them in the mouth if they don't do right. So that's where I'm going with that one. Oklahoma. So, you know, it's funny. Nobody picked Michigan State. Like, it's like either Ohio State or Oklahoma, one of the two.
I can't legally. My fiance will disown me, and this couch will be my best friend. So I know my place. I got to go with that.
Hey, man. Hey, look. On SVU, they call that witness tampering. You can't do that.
Look. I've tried to go up against that. Nope. Dad brought me inside, gave me a notepad. He said, son, sit down. I said, all right, Pop. He said, you got to hear. Take a pen. Take this pen. All right, write this down. I said, what? He said, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. All right, it'll save you for the rest of your life. I said, all right. He said, when your wife says anything to you, you know what you say? I said, yeah, what, Pop? He said, you say, yes, dear. I said, all right, what else? He said, no, nothing else. You say, yes, dear, and you move on. You might think that you're different, that you got it under control. You might think you know better, but you don't say that. Happy wife, happy life. Babe, I love you. Go Michigan State.
I still say that's witness tampering. I don't care what you call it, boo. Happy wife, happy life. Please don't cut me with the knife. I think it's all bullshit, boo. That's what I'm calling it. You know what? I clown you, but if I say something dirty about Dallas, you might get a knock on your door in 3 hours. Look, in 3 hours, it'd be just like this. Yo, man, who is it? Anthony, I thought you was in Oklahoma. Yeah, I had to catch a plane back to Virginia. I love you, sweetheart. Let me stop playing. Our 10th wedding anniversary. Yeah, our 10th wedding anniversary is Thursday. Let me stop playing. My wife would.
Congratulations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Okay. On to we gonna get away from the spousal stuff. Just leave that alone. Okay, well, the last of the top 10, we got Oregon at 7, Notre Dame at 8, Michigan at 9, and Wake Forest at 10. I think since we got two pair, we're gonna pick two teams. And Sean, I'm gonna come to you first.
That we don't believe in, or that we do believe in?
That we don't believe in.
I gotta say Wake Forest. Just because of the ACC, and I just think the ACC is really having a down year. And I love that Wake Forest is undefeated. I love Sam Hartman. I think if he gets on the right team and really gets coached up in the NFL, he might be one of these guys that we talk about in a couple years. And he's having a really great year this year. But still, it's Wake Forest in the ACC. I still can't get behind them fully. And the other team I got to look at is Notre Dame. Notre Dame is definitely a shell of those great Notre Dame years. Look, they beat my North Carolina. They beat us last week, 44-34. You know, they can put up numbers, but then they lost at home to Cincinnati, a couple weeks back. You know what I mean? So they're up and they're down. I believe they got to play Clemson coming up, and I think they already beat FSU. So those are the two teams, and yes, both of them in the ACC. I mean, I try to watch them a lot, and I want to believe in them. I want to believe, especially Wake Forest, because they're really like this Cinderella team. But I don't think that's going to last very long.
Okay.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with Sean there, because I mean those are actually the two I was going to pick as well. Like Wake Forest, the ACC combat was pretty much spot on what I was going to say, and then Notre Dame, and that you brought it up. Notre Dame is a shell of their former self. They've always been, they actually always been the top 4, top 5. They actually made the playoffs a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? Even though they were part of the independent, they were independent. But from what I've seen this year, I can echo your comment about them not being as good as they used to be. That's my sentiments exactly, man. I mean Notre Dame and Wake Forest. Those are my two that I don't believe in there.
Wow, I'm having a hard time here, and I'm gonna tell you why. Oregon, I'm glad for Oregon. I'm just running down. I'm gonna run down the whole list, and then I give you my two. Oregon, I'm glad for Oregon. I'm glad they're making a showing. But they're the only team that I know of that has more wardrobe combinations than they have national championships and conference championships.
Green and yellow.
All day, baby. All day. I mean, their uniform combinations are ridiculous. Like, it's because of Oregon that you see in all these other teams with the mirrored helmets now, which I think is tight. Then Notre Dame, for the reason that you just said, Sean, about them being a shell of their former selves, and they, like Ohio State, get a whole lot of love. I know they have a huge alumnus, a huge booster base, huge alumnus and a booster base, and they're the only team that just said, no, we don't have to join your conference. We got our own television deal, and we just gonna do what we want to do. And they get all of this hype every year because of the tradition. I mean, they get a lot of hype because of the tradition, but and I feel bad saying that about another team, because we're kind of in the same boat. We have 2 national championships in 100 and some odd years, but we got the conference championships to back. I know, right? Maybe moral victory. There we go. We're gonna stop that. Does that make me crazy? I gotta throw the Brandon on it. Hey.
Fingers, you also got to say about Notre Dame, they leapfrogged us and kind of got in that playoff where Clemson, when Clemson won the national championship. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God,
Clemson did not. They played Notre Dame, and they didn't even need to practice with Notre Dame. Anybody could play Notre Dame would have beat the crap.
They whooped them. Yep.
And that is why I'm fully convinced that's why Clemson beat Alabama, because they had that extra week. I mean, like, they had that extra week to practice. They weren't practicing with Notre Dame. I mean, really, who's practicing with Notre Dame? Nobody.
Nobody. Nope.
That 2 weeks of practice against Saban, that was just enough to beat Alabama. I'm standing fully by that. So Bama does what Bama do.
They do what they do. Yeah.
Georgia should have been in there. Notre Dame should have been outside.
Bro, look, you killing me this week. He said he said that's why Clemson beat Alabama because they had an extra week.
Look, Collin's gonna do a 30. He's gonna do a 30 for 30 on that.
Oh man,
I'm full of opinions this week, bro.
Let's go.
Be it right, be it wrong, they are opinions.
Let's go.
Oh man, look, and then Michigan, we already discussed it. You got Harbaugh there, and it makes me wonder. Harbaugh at Michigan is kind of for me what I look at with Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. It's like they're both sons of the program. Gundy was their quarterback. He still holds records at Oklahoma State, and he has not delivered the goods, and he's still there. It just makes me wonder. It's one of those things. It's like Gundy and Harbaugh know where the bodies are buried, is basically what it is. You know what I mean? So that's the thing with Michigan. And then, of course, there's the whole Ohio State thing that they can't seem to get by. Sorry, Pastor Chris. I love you, bro. And then Wake Forest. Last time Wake Forest was relevant for me as a sports team was when this light-skinned, quiet kid named Tim Duncan got drafted from there to go play ball for the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah.
That's how long ago Wake Forest has been relevant for me as a sports team on my sports radar. So it's hard for me to really say, but I mean, honestly, if I got to go with one, I'm going to have to go with I'm going to flip it up. I'm going to go Oregon and Michigan. Because I want to believe that Oregon can make it happen this year. I want to believe that Michigan can bounce back from this loss to Michigan State and run the table, but there's still Ohio State to deal with. I mean, you get what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
And then Oregon, even if they wind up winning the Pac-12, which it is very, very highly likely that they will do, if they win the Pac-12 and they get a CFP bid, they're more than likely going to wind up being paired up with somebody out of the SEC. I mean, if they play Georgia, if they play Bama, Auburn, you see what I did there. But that's my whole point. So I don't see Oregon. I see them winning the Pac-12. From there, I don't know where they're going to go. Because right now they're at number 7. And I stand corrected, gentlemen. The CFP rankings don't come out until tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So we don't know. We won't be able to look at those and see where we're going. But, everything hinges on being that all-important top. You got to at least be in the top 6 by the time all the smoke clears to even be kind of considered for a playoff bid. And right now they're on the fringe. Oregon is at 7. So
who was their loss, man? Who was their Oregon's only loss? Who did it lose to?
Oh, Oregon?
Stanford.
Oregon.
Stanford.
Yeah, they lost to Stanford.
Okay, I got you.
And then Michigan's, it's appropriate that Michigan is a couple places underneath Oregon because that's not Michigan. Yeah. Ohio State. I'm sorry. How is Ohio State ranked ahead of Oregon when Oregon beat Ohio State?
Because Oregon lost to unranked Stanford. That's the only way I can reason with that.
No
is
Pac-12,
because Stanford,
no Pac-12 bias.
Stanford is because Stanford has lost to some poor teams in the Pac-12, so that really is taking away Oregon's. The fact that Oregon was in the top 10 and has remained in the top 10 is kind of questionable to me. But the fact that they're now one game right under Ohio State, I think talks about what Collin and I were speaking about that Ohio State love. You know what I mean? Because there's no way that they should be above Oregon, with how they lost to them. But
yeah, I mean, I get that the Stanford loss came later on after they beat Ohio State. So that logic I could follow. But just the fact that they are both one-loss teams, ranked or unranked, I don't care. They're both one-loss teams, and Oregon beat Ohio State in the head-to-head, but Ohio State is ranked ahead of Oregon, which is why, again, I think I'm going to say this again for the umpteenth time. I keep screaming it. It might never happen in my lifetime. Break down these doggone conferences like the NFL, and you get your conference winners, and you get that 12-team playoff, and that's what you got, and we don't have to deal with these because I don't think they want to give it up because it's tradition and the AP poll and the coaches poll, and those guys probably get a little stipend or whatever for being voters or whatever. Screw that. You do it the way the pros do it, and you got no more problems. And that means you, Notre Dame, will have to join the conference if you want to be considered. Aha.
Very true. Well, yeah, I think it might take away a little bit from, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what they do, but kind of like it that way because that makes it college. That makes it different from the pros. But with we getting into them getting paid and all this stuff, and we're moving towards professionals. I mean, so we'll see how they. So yeah, to your point, Anthony, we'll see how it plays out.
I got a question to ask you guys. Just your opinion. So going along with the 12-team playoff, what say you about what is your opinion on that? Good, yay or nay for that for a 12-teamer? And also, I heard it thrown around, and I just want to kind of think about it a little bit. Should you have to win your conference in order to make the playoffs?
Yes.
Like, I mean, shouldn't it be a requirement to win your respective conference to go to the playoff?
Right. That should be the primary qualifier.
Exactly.
The primary qualifier, and then you got to start breaking it down.
That alleviates the Alabama situation where they didn't win the conference, but they ended up in the playoffs and won the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That alleviates.
But then you also got to add in records and losses and who people played. And see, that's where it gets funky because then you start getting into strength of schedule and you start getting into who have you won, who have you beat, when did you beat them, how good are they, what are their losses, and that's when you start breaking it down. Look, I would be.
I tell you what, I don't mean to cut you off, but think about you on this for a minute. You go to one of these schools like Stanford or Harvard or somewhere, you get you a Duke or Vanderbilt, you get you one of them math nerds, and you get them to crunch up a program that figures out all of that stuff for you, and put everybody in a conference, and boom, it's done, and just boom, figure it out. Take all of that money you saw the segment I did yesterday on the bowl games and how much those guys are getting paid. Eliminate this overinflated bowl system. Take that money, put it back into the NCAA. No, the bowl system is way too overinflated, bro.
No, man, you can't take what are we trying to do with college football? Are we trying to make it into pro football? I mean, no. But what I'm saying is, the thing about the bowls is those teams that you don't normally get to see. And yes, I know a lot of us aren't going to watch those games. Those teams and those kids are getting that day in the sun. You know what I mean? I know we've looked at it now because you got all these players that are like, oh, I'm not going to play in the bowl game. I'm getting ready for my pro or whatever. But you got a lot of these teams that are just like in the Mid-American Conference, the Atlantic, all these different conferences that don't get any other airtime until this one January day where they get one bowl game that maybe nobody watches, but that might be their last shot to get in the pros. I think you got to keep those bowls for the schools, for the little schools, and their way to try to compete with the bigger schools. And you got to keep them. You just can't bring them all together. I think you got to.
Are you talking about reducing the number of bowls?
Hear me out, though. Hear me out, though. And let's be real about this for a minute. You are talking about a scenario for yourself because you're a guy that will sit down and watch every single bowl.
No, I'm talking about a scenario where keeping things where they are. Like, if you want to go with the 12, that's fine, but still keep the bowls in there. The bowls are too big of a part of college football.
But at the very least, rework the system so that the people that organize, the people that organize it got to get paid. But I did a piece yesterday. The guy that organized the Rose Bowl, the Cotton Bowl in 2016 got paid $1.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
What for?
Organized one of the greatest bowl games in the history of the game based on tradition, the pageantry, everything that comes with it. The schools get to come in and say, we're in the Cotton Bowl. The problem is it's a lot of the lore and a lot of the things that we had from the past. Everybody wants to get to one thing. Who's the best team in the land? Right. That's where we're going. And I guess that's great if your team is perennially one of the top 5 teams. And then it's like, yes, I love this. I want this. I want to keep it up so we can brag every year our team is the best in the land. But then you have 120 some odd other schools and a number of Division 1 AA or Division 2 schools moving up. And then it's like, all right, well, why are you here? You know what I mean? Because then it's going to get to the point where, like, all right, let's just break down the top 30 teams in the country and go from there. But that's not one of the things I love about college football is that it's anything. It's any given weekend. You have the guys that you have no clue about coming out of nowhere to really sit here and change the whole game. College, pros, everything like that. I think if we start making this into a Super Bowl type thing where it's like, oh, let's bring them all into this one side, you really lose a lot of the pageantry and a lot of these smaller schools that, look, their parents and families go to these bowl games. They go to these events. They go to these festivities outside of the bowl. And a lot of them, yes, my team barely made it. We got 6 wins on the last game because somebody else fell out. You know, and that's it. That's their whole thing for them. I just don't think you can take it away from the kids because it makes such a difference, and it really is part of the college atmosphere that we all love.
I personally, though, okay, maybe the whole part about the bowl games, maybe I'm jumping the gun on that a little bit. But, I mean, let's be real. The three of us, I keep trying to figure out how old you are, Sean, and I'm not exactly
38.
sure. Okay, you're a little bit younger than me and Collin. But I remember you only had 15 bowl games, and that was all you got. You know what I mean? And now you've got with the sponsorship deals and the 18 gajillion other things. Now, granted, the sponsorship stuff is good for, I guess, is good for being able to give the schools more money for the bowl appearances, and that's all well and good. But with the advent of the name and image likeness deal, now you created a scenario where these kids are able to make money before they even get into the league. Now, granted, everybody's not making the same amount of money, you know, and some kids are, I think that we'll get into that in a minute. But anyway, with the advent of the kids being able to make money, which for some of them was the primary goal. It wasn't just to go play in the NFL, because I guarantee you, if they had a choice, if the NFL was only paying $65,000 a year, and they had a choice between beating and banging their body up for 3 years and going to make $65,000 when they could just get an education and a degree and get $65,000, and heck, I know folks that don't have any college degrees that make more money than that. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying?
But now, look. The thing about it though is the people that are really making the money and benefiting from this whole image of likeness thing were the people that beforehand were getting paid off by the boosters in the first place. Let's not act like that whole thing with SMU died with SMU. Right. That stuff's still been so it's still been going on. So your top tier guys were getting paid before that, and now it's almost maybe even like they're taking a pay cut. You know, with what they're doing now. Yeah. But the thing is, it's not everybody. That's what I think we get. I was talking to somebody else about this, and they were like, "Oh, everybody's gonna get it." No, not everybody's getting it. These top tier guys get it, and maybe you'll get a couple other guys that'll get like a weird, like a local sponsor. But you're not really getting these guys that are getting like serious contracts, as if
like DJ Ungalele.
Well, right, and that's another thing.
He got that 7-figure deal to do a couple Dr. Pepper commercials, and he's not having that great a year.
But him and Spencer, didn't Spencer get something too?
Spencer got a deal with the chicken place, Raising Cane's Chicken here, in Oklahoma, and then he got a deal with the car dealership with 2 cars.
Right. No, but what happens after that? Now you're not playing. Now you're sitting on the bench. Do you have to give that back? Is it?
No, I think that money's guaranteed in the contract, but I think what definitely will happen is it's going to because this year was a trial run. So what's going to wind up happening is these guys, these sponsors. Now, of course, realistically speaking, it's just like, let's just say, for example, I don't know if Ray Rice had any sponsorship deals, but I'm sure he did, right? So Ray Rice got these sponsorship deals, and he signed the paperwork with the companies with the assumption that he was going to show up, he was going to do his job, he was going to keep his nose clean. Mm-hmm. And he was a hell of a football player. But then, one night he had a few too many, knocked this woman upside the head, and the elevator camera caught it. So, so I mean, it's a crapshoot, but I think it will cause some of these folks to take a look at who they do business with, as opposed, you know what I'm saying? Instead of hitching their wagon to a kid Like DJ Uiagalelei hadn't played much at all because he was behind Trevor Lawrence. But because he played at Clemson, played behind Trevor Lawrence, and was coached by Dabo Swinney, they were like, "Oh, this kid's gonna be a phenom. Here, we're just gonna throw a bunch of money at you." And now they're what? They're how many games they won? Are they 4-4 or something like that?
I believe they are 4-4. They just barely got the victory this past week.
I mean, there's a very real possibility that the way they're playing, that the team that won a national championship 3 years ago may not even get a bowl game this year. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So
they're 5-3. They're 5-3.
Oh, they are 5-3? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. Way to go. I'm so proud of you. You peed and used the potty. Yay, you can go star. You're such a big boy now. I'm gonna stop clowning because I said I wasn't gonna clown nobody because that bad juju come back to bite you. I was after I showed y'all the video on Thursday, I was like, oh my God, please let Georgia win. Please don't let the football juju get you for a bad video. But I don't know. I just think there needs to be, until there is a way, because you talk about the bowl games and those kids getting their moment in the sun, but let's be real. Only the most diehard of college scouts are watching the bowl games, especially the lower tier bowl games, because those are schools that aren't in contention, and most of the NFL scouts are thinking, well, these guys are 2 stars or 3 stars, unless they're scouting for guys at the practice squad. They're watching. The NFL scouts are watching. Let's be real. The NFL scouts are watching the big name players from the SEC, the big name players from the Big 12 and the Big 10, and whoever happens to be on fire at the ACC, or whoever's having a hot year, whoever the Heisman candidates are, and then they work their way outward from that. That's just my.
Look, I understand. I understand that's where they might be looking. I don't understand that they cut it off from the beginning, because when you go to the combine, then it doesn't matter what you did before. I mean, maybe we'll put this guy in this list, but people, your specs are all the same, throughout the combine. That's why you have guys like what's his name, Josh Allen, come out of Wyoming. And people are like, I've never seen nobody. This guy's a bust. He's nothing. He's out here in Wyoming. And then he balls out. You know what I mean? And a lot of that also has to do with where you land. But I'm telling you, if we don't have stuff like this, you've documented this multiple times, Anthony, about the HBCUs, about how Eddie George and Dion are trying to get some recognition to those guys. If we don't have them looking at everybody, we never have a Steve Air McNair come out of Alcorn State. You know what I mean? And I understand he was blowing stuff out the water. He was like 5th on the Heisman list, and he wasn't even in official like D1. I get that. He was above and beyond. But we got it. I understand that they look at these guys first, but I don't think that it's very much okay, now we're done with them. They're all taken. Now let's go everywhere else. I think they couple it all in, and because they pride themselves on finding the next Tom Brady. Who's that Jim? Who's that guy that's going to get picked up in the 6th round?
I gotta put a pause on you for a second. Tom Brady. Where did Tom Brady go to school?
Michigan.
And Michigan is in what conference?
The Big 10.
Boom. You just proved my point. So yeah,
how good was Tom Brady in college? You watched him. You did not watch him.
I didn't watch him when he was at Michigan. Was he?
He was not great. No, he was not that great. He had a couple good games, but he was not that great.
When did he get
picked up? When did he get picked up?
He was.
Think about the people. Yeah, think about the people that got picked before him. Seneca Wallace got picked before him of Iowa State.
Mm-hmm. I know the genealogy behind Tom.
But that's what I'm saying. These other guys got picked before Tom Brady, even though he went to Michigan.
Right, but my point is that they're still looking for diamonds in the rough at the big name schools. Now, I'm not saying take the bowl games away from the HBCUs and the D2s and the D3s, because trust me, when I'm still tracking JMU right now. I'm still ODU, even though ODU is not that great. I'm still tracking JMU right now in the Dukes. I think what they do at the the 1 AA and the 2 and the 3 level, I think that's great. I'm just talking about strictly for the purposes of the D1. If they come up with some way to make that a little more equitable in terms of playoff opportunities, because the way that the conferences are realigning right now, it's going to turn into the big dog is always going to get the SEC just got bigger, and the Big 12 is scrambling trying to get people. And then I think it's Conference USA is either getting bigger or they've lost some people. The Big Ten, like right now you got SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, and then you got all these other smaller FBS conferences. What's happening is the rich are getting richer. Like they're just basically because they've got the bigger glob of schools together, they're getting a bigger clump of the money, which means they have the better athletic facilities. They've got the more television. You and I have talked about this, the television exposure, the all of that stuff, and what kid sitting at home? So some kid right now, 7 or 8 years old, loves football, is sitting at home every Saturday, and he's flipping through the channels. Do you think he gets a chance to see Buck Tussle State play on TV? No.
Where did his parents go to school? Where did his parents go to school?
Maybe his parents didn't go to school.
Well, that's the thing. If his parents went to Buck Tussle State, you never know if that's where. I mean, you talk about Savannah State, how you got family and people and teachers that still know, and it kind of kept you along in that line. That's because that was the lineage. That's where you came. Right. You know, Georgia was what you loved, but Savannah State is your soul. That's the whole everything with you is Savannah State. Those guys. I feel like we gotta like Shannon Sharp. You always talk Shannon Sharp
all day, baby, all day.
And he is better. He is better than the majority of tight ends that came out in his years. But if we gotta. There's so many diamonds, man.
My point that I'm saying is that if they figure out a way, and I don't know how they're going to figure it out, because what it's going to all boil down to at the end of the day, and all three of us know it, is how is the money going to break down? Because nobody wants to give up the money they're making now. And the people that are trying to get into these conferences are trying to get their share of the money, but nobody wants to give up the money that they're making right now, which is why I was actually surprised that they were contemplating a 12-team playoff. That's just me. That's just my thought process.
Well, the 12 team I guess I don't know if I can't say about proponent or against it, but I'm saying the reason or a good reason to have a 12-team playoff is to put to bed all these undefeated UCFs, all these all these undefeated teams. I mean all the
the group, the G5 teams,
and they're talking all this noise about how good they are. UCF they're self-proclaimed national champions. You know what I'm saying? And so I mean that'll put to bed some of that nonsense where all these teams are saying, well, you know, we're the best, we're undefeated, but then you get in that 12-team playoff, and then you bump heads with, say, a Bama or even a Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt or say, Missouri or somebody like that, and then you get, put up on game real quick. So,
I have no problem with a 12-team playoff, but even now with the 4-team playoff and all that stuff, there's still bowl games. There's still the Cotton Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and each of them are still a bowl game. So if we could do 12-team, that's fine, but eliminating the bowl games, I think, would be the downfall of college football.
You think so?
Yep. I mean, because if we're going to make this only the top tier teams, then what are we really watching for? Are we watching because we love those top tier teams? Or are we watching because that's just the only that's the only group of guys we got? You know what I mean?
Well, let me walk this back a little bit. I'm not saying throw the bowl games away altogether. Like the playoff games can still be bowl games, and there can still be some bowl games, but there's so many of them. Because there's so many bowl games. But consider the fact that there's so many bowl games right now that you only have to have 5 wins, 12 games, 5 wins. Last time I checked, except for maybe the last couple of years,
6.
No, they changed it a couple of years ago. 5. 5 wins, unless they change it this year.
Do the amount of bowl games increase yearly? I mean, are they the same bowls every year?
It's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same, and then you get some gradual increases, and then some bowl games go away. But just for frame of reference, when the Dogs last won their national championship in 1980, there were 15 bowl games. Last year there were 35. Sometime between 80 and last year, there was one year where it was like 40-something bowl games. And my point is that everybody's throwing a bowl game out there just to get the national television exposure and to get the advertising dollars, because we all know that the lion's share of the money gets broken up between the organizer, the schools, the organizer and the schools, and then the rest of it goes to pay off the staff and all that other stuff. But it's like they're just throwing them. These guys are just coming up with stuff. They're almost like day traders. Hey guys, you know what I'm saying? It's like if we had the money and we went to the NCAA and said, "Hey, what if we create the Facebook podcast bowl sponsored by DJG Enterprises?" And we got people, you know what I'm saying? And we got some team. It's just getting to the point where I think the product is watered down, is what I'm saying. I personally, I don't necessarily want to see a 5-win team.
Well, that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, the people that are going to watch the big name teams are not going to pay attention to the small ones. They're not going to pay attention, especially, just using you guys because we are SEC. You guys aren't going to watch a Vanderbilt who you've just watched them get spanked all year long, and now I got to see them play Buck Tussle State and maybe win or maybe
I'll watch Vanderbilt. Oh, I'll support the SEC. I will. So I think I don't know. I guess I'm kind of confused in the fact that look, these small teams, the Vanderbilts, the people that aren't going to watch them, they're not going to watch them. That's just it's garbage time. Maybe they're wait till January 1. But the families, the kids, the schools, all those represented that are like, look, yes, I will take my Christmas vacation and go out here and be a part of my school and putting it together and playing with my guys. Being a part of one, I didn't play, but I was kind of just on the sideline on the team at Virginia State when they went to a pseudo little bowl thing with that. And it was the camaraderie. It was everybody coming together. It was, this is our one last hurrah, the seniors. Let's go out the right way. Like, let's do it like that. And look, at the end of the day, you're right. You're absolutely right. There are a lot of people like me, but there are a lot of people that are not like me that are kind of like, look, I don't care anything about Buck Tussle State versus Western Mississippi Tech University, culinary school. I want to see Georgia. Wait, Western Virginia Culinary School?
Right. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. New name random. They don't want to see that. And I get that. They're not going to they're not pushing for that. But these other schools that it's like, oh my God, like this is it. Oh wow, my team is on TV. Like, think about that. Some people that might live in another place never get to see their team until the bowl game.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean, talking about that though. What about the players? Sorry.
No, go ahead, Collin. I jumped off.
No, I'm saying, Sean, to your point, you're talking about people wanting to see these games, wanting to see this, whatever. What is your stance, or what both of you guys' stance on players opting out of this bowl games? You know what I'm saying? Just, you know what I'm saying? You have a flip side of that, right? So you have people that, this is my senior year, this is the last year, and then you got people that I don't want to go to that. I'm going pro. I ain't trying to go to the bowl game.
Well, exactly, and that's becoming a curse on the college game because a lot of now, even with these top tier bowls, where I'm like, yes, I've been waiting to see this. Now it's like, oh, starting running back, starting wide receiver is out because they're not playing for national championship.
You know what I'm saying? Michigan State doesn't make the playoffs, but they get a nice bowl game, and then you waiting to tune in and see it, and it's like, Kenneth Walker's decided to sit out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Now, to me, obviously, as a fan and a former running back, yes, that pisses me off. That sucks. But at the same time, as a football player and as somebody that's like with my fiance, it's next man up, and we still got to win this game, and we still want bragging rights. You know what I mean? It's like,
and at the end of the day, though, he's protecting his the player that is opting out. He's protecting his himself, as far as from injury and that kind of stuff, because he knows he's going to the next level. He's already actually on his way to the next level, so therefore, he doesn't want to risk it or get hurt before he actually makes that jump. Yeah. So I mean, I can see both sides of it. I mean, I'm not saying either way, but I mean, it is kind of disappointing when you turn on your team out there and you're person you're used to seeing on your team, ball out like a running back or receiver like that. He's not there, opting out. You're not watching the same game you watch all year.
I mean, and that is happening more frequently year to year. It's like if my team does not make the playoff, but we get a bowl, I'm not playing. And that's not just guys going to the league. That's guys coming back the next year.
Really?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well.
Like it was originally guys that were going to the league, which I kind of sort of could understand, or they're like, well, nah, because I'm in the Senior Bowl or the East versus West Classic, and that's where the scouts are going to be. So I got to save myself for that bowl game, and then I got the combine right after. Or I got a pro day. I kind of get, but even then, you know what I'm saying? Even then, I get that. I kind of get it, but I don't. But like if you're a sophomore and you planning to come back the following season and you just go, I'm not going to the bowl game. I'm not playing. I'm not taking a chance on getting injured. How does that look when you come back to camp in the spring? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that goes to those big teams, big name schools. Like, how did people look at you if you decided not to opt out of the bowl game? And it goes to the coach as well. How does he look at you? I can't say it's not as plagued in those schools that are like 5, 6, 7 wins, because they're just like, oh my goodness, except for like the 1 or 2 players that maybe are going pro or something like that, or really have a shot. A lot of those younger schools are like, I need as much footage on me as I possibly can get. You know what I mean? Especially in this day and age, it's like you can get footage on everything. Anytime I can get in front of a camera, anytime I can get going, I need to be there doing it. So every opportunity they get at these smaller schools, they take it. At the end of the day, it's like you guys are saying, it's coming to the point where it is about going towards the top tier teams, going towards seeing what they can bring to the table. But I mean, I think it goes back to just the passion of college football, the whole aura of it, the fact that you can have, I mean, last year we talked about you guys went to a January 6th bowl. You played an upstart, undefeated Cincinnati team. You beat them 24-21. And for them, that gave them hope. For you, it's like, oh my God, we really got that close to these guys. Are they really that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
now here we are a year later with them sitting right behind us in the rankings.
Well, right, right. And so it's just different. It's different strokes for different folks. You said different strokes. But I mean, that's some younger schools are like, this is my one shot fancy, my one chance fancy. Don't let me down. And the big name schools are like, well, look, I'll be in the pros next year. So,
but see, it surprises me. There's no. I guess there's no kind of reprimand for that either. I mean, it's like from what I'm seeing, I was like, hey, I can do whatever I want. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing. The school will tell you, no, you have to play. I mean, nothing that I see, right? I mean, you make that decision on your own, and therefore it is what it is. And you're not reprimanded or you're not disciplined or anything like that. There's nothing held against you for doing that. Right? It seems kind of odd to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It seems odd to me that the school. I mean, you're playing for that school. You are on scholarship or whatever, but you're playing for that school, and I mean, you actually promised to play, for that school. And I mean, if you're on scholarship, that's a whole nother story. And if you're on scholarship, I mean, I would expect them to say, no, you're playing. There ain't no way you're sitting out.
Oh God,
yeah. You know what I mean? We play for your school.
Oh yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I mean, that's really surprised me. I mean, I don't know how that's happening right now, to be honest with you. But
me either. But I mean, that's I'm not there, and I don't really have a dog in that fight.
Yeah,
I'm like I said, I'm older, and I come from a different school of thought. You know what I mean? You made a commitment. A commitment to the team, all for one, and one for all. Hands in, agile, mobile, hostile, defense on 3, 1, 2, 3. This whatever. Eat a W if you got to. Well, no, we're not going that far. But
hey, shout out to him, man. Hopefully he can recover, man.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't even realize he was injured. I just thought maybe he had gotten pulled. I didn't know he was hurt.
Oh yeah, he had an ACL injury. They're trying to see if it's torn or not. He might potentially be out for the season.
Ooh.
Yeah. They carted him off the field yesterday.
Well, hey, Jameis, we give you a hard time. We crab legs, we give you a hard time, bro. But you know what? You've been through some stuff. You've been through some adversity, and you still in the league. There's a lot of people that talk bad about you. You are still a starting quarterback in the most exclusive sports club on the face of the planet, the NFL. So keep doing what you're doing, pimping. Get better, and hopefully we see you back on the sideline with a bowl of corn frosted W's at some point. before all is said and done. I'm saying all this shit to the camera like he gonna see this. I can't even make my hands I gotta take my fingers and do that. I don't know how gangbangers do all them gang signs. I gotta take my hands and do that. So that W is up for Jameis. That's the hey, if you watching this show, make that your hashtag. W's up for Jameis.
W for him.
Oh man, I think on that note, that's probably the perfect opportunity for us to get up out of here. Gentlemen, I appreciate y'all.
Hey man, I had fun today, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, we got deep up in that thing, but we talked about a half hour about that bowl game, boy. I see. Look, I look. Some people argue about politics. Other people argue about other social issues. Some people argue about whether or not to get the shot. I'm just telling you right now, do not get into an argument with Mr. Shout out King here about taking away the bowl game. Taking away the bowl game. He will be
the bowl game.
How can you take away bowls like the Pinstripe Bowl, the Cheez-It Bowl, the Alamo, Duke's
What about the toilet bowl?
Hey man, hold on. Wait a minute.
The toilet bowl.
Hold on. Wait a minute. The Alamo didn't go so well last time I checked. It didn't go so well for outside. Then they made a bowl game after it.
Yeah, and North Carolina's been in the last couple times, so yeah, it hadn't looked good for us either.
I'm just saying. Look,
Ponder, Quick Lane, Camellia. I mean, so many.
Yeah, I know the Belks Bug Tussle Bowl. I know. I'm just saying. Don't tell Sean you taking them bowls. He's gonna be out on the corner with three other people with picket sign marching in a circle. No Roger, no rerun, no rent. No Roger, no rerun, no rent.
You don't take my bowls from me.
Nothing but death can keep me from it. Oh my God! Until you do right by me. Anyway, we good, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate y'all tuning in to this week's episode of This Week in SEC Football. We will be back.
Hey, I got a question. Hey, am I moving in my camera? Can y'all see me moving?
Yeah. I see you moving, yeah.
Okay, because the whole show is just, from my point, it's just looked like me as a frozen picture of me doing this. I haven't known if I was moving or not. I'm just frozen.
No, you're moving. You're moving on our
cowering.
That conversation about bowls got your head hurt.
So we appreciate y'all tuning in this week's episode. I'm gonna try this again. We appreciate you tuning in to this week's episode of This Week in SEC Football. We will be back live casting on Thursday night. Sean, where are you going to be tomorrow night? Tomorrow night is the roundtable. Is that correct?
No. So actually, Nick's got it. He's got an inventory as a job. So the roundtable is actually going to be Thursday after This Week in SEC Football.
Okay.
We're going to go do that, and then we're going to go do the roundtable. Tomorrow's Let's Talk Fantasy Football with David Wright.
Okay. Yeah. And then you're doing the Washington Football Weekly on Wednesday?
Yes.
God, you know what?
To talk about, we're gonna be there.
I was gonna say, man, at this point, Washington Football Weekly has got to be a labor of love, brother. It just got to be just doing it for the love of the team.
But look, since you've been sending me a lot of these like videos about college stuff, I've seen videos for like the guys that follow Vanderbilt and stuff like that. So I got respect. I'm like, wow, you follow these guys like week in and week out, and they're this bad. Wow. So I'm like, you know what? I can still do it. We're not horrible.
Hey man, I've been a Falcons fan for 50-something years. I think. And look here. At least the Washington football team got a couple of Lombardis in their trophy case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, we on our third or fourth stadium since the team got founded. They got a damn trophy to put in there. Well, we got them NFC championships, but still.
Yeah.
Ain't got no Lombardis though.
Hey, we had a chance at a couple of them, didn't we? But we just said, no, we don't want it.
Bro, look, the trophy case, the championship trophy case at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, looks very much like the shelves where they keep the toilet paper all across the DMV whenever they say snow is coming.
Yes.
And I hate to say that, and I hate to make that joke, but it is so true.
I believe we're going to hear 28-3 for a long time, my friend.
bro, until we win, and even then we still
until we win one. Yeah.
Then we win one, and then me and you would be 80, and then they'd be like, "It's been since 2021."
Right.
Be like, hey, at least look, Detroit Lions fans will still be be clowning Detroit Lions fans. They'd be like 2021.
Yeah.
Hey. Oh man. We got to get out of here, y'all. We'll talk all night. We appreciate y'all hanging with us. We'll see y'all on Thursday night. Y'all be good. We are OUWT out. We'll catch you on Thursday. Holla.
Your new home for podcasts and original music.
The Zagnif One Radio Network.